Hey, welcome back. Listeners, what does a frying pan in Seoul have in common with an AI supercomputer?
On the surface, absolutely nothing.
Right, nothing. But today we have a very clear mission. We're examining how global geopolitical tensions are trickling down to everyday Korean wholesale prices, while simultaneously contrasting this with the booming domestic semiconductor sector. Let's jump straight in.
Yeah, it's a complex picture, but tracing these connections gives us an objective view of where the economy stands right now.
So, to set the stage on the macro geopolitical situation, Donald Trump recently posted on Truth Social. He threatened to eliminate Iran's Karg Island, uh, oil wells, and all power plants if an agreement isn't reached and the Strait of Hormuz isn't immediately opened.
And the economic translation of that U.S.-Iran conflict, well, it's already showing up in Korean supply chains.
Yeah.
If you look at the data from the online wholesale platform 3MRO, they just raised prices on 121
We
items.
have 121
Yeah.
items.
Yeah, exactly. Industrial goods, like drill bits, rose 5% to 6%, while consumer goods like pots and pans increased by approximately 15%. In total, 18 items saw price hikes exceeding 10%.
Let me just pause you right there. How does a standoff thousands of miles away actually make a frying pan in Seoul more expensive?
Whoa.
I mean, when are everyday consumers actually going to feel that?
It really comes down to the mechanics of risk and logistics. When a critical shipping route like the Strait of Hormuz is threatened, cargo ships have to reroute around alternative, much longer paths.
Right, which burns more fuel.
Exactly, more fuel, and it requires much higher insurance premiums for the vessels. Those increased logistics costs are priced into raw materials almost instantly.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, according to Hanyang University financial economics professor Lee Zhongquan, these wholesale increases will inevitably lead to consumer price hikes by this summer.
This summer. Okay.
Right, and he also notes that if the Middle East conflict is prolonged, it could potentially create structural price volatility for the broader economy.
So physical consumer goods are getting squeezed by these physical supply chain routes. But what about the digital side? Because while raw material logistics struggle, Korea's tech exports are defying the pressure.
The contrast is quite stark, actually. Let's look at Samsung Electronics Q1 data. High bandwidth memory, or HBM, which is essentially the multi-lane highway that allows AI chips to process complex data.
Right, the bottleneck for AI.
Exactly. HDM saw sales increase by more than 300% year over year. As a result, Q1 revenue is projected to surpass 120 trillion won, with operating profit nearing 40 trillion won.
That is a very significant jump.
It is. Even general DRAM, specifically the DDR4 8GB, has seen prices increase about tenfold compared to Q1 last year.
Tenfold. Okay, and that data connects logically to the global AI race.
Right.
Late last year, Samsung supplied their fifth-generation HBM3E to NVIDIA.
Right.
Then in February, they achieved the world's first mass production of sixth-generation HBM4 for NVIDIA's next-generation Vera Rubin AI accelerator.
Exactly. And this hardware isn't just staying in data centers. It's the infrastructure for the autonomous applications of tomorrow.
Right, it bridges the gap from raw computing power to actual movement in the real world.
To understand how that physical movement works, we can look at the GNSS, or Global Navigation Satellite System, receiver from a Belgian company called Septentrio.
Septentrio, okay.
Yeah, utilizes signals from 39 satellites across different systems. So that includes the EU's Galileo, the US GPS, and China's Beidou.
Oh, so it's pulling from all of them at once.
Yes, and by synthesizing those signals, it achieves a margin of error of just 3 millimeters.
Listeners, 3 millimeters is roughly the thickness of like a couple of stacked credit cards.
It's incredibly precise.
That is a level of precision strictly required for the safe operation of AI-driven delivery and humanoid robots.
Yeah, it's the difference between a robot successfully navigating a sidewalk and a complete system failure.
Yep.
The reliance on this hardware is absolute.
Which brings us to an interesting ironic loop and a final thought to consider. As AI and robotics become reliant on hyper-precise global satellite networks and semiconductor supply chains, consider how vulnerable these advanced technologies might be to the exact geopolitical gridlocks discussed at the top of the deep dive. That's all for today's deep dive. We'll be back with more insights. You've been listening to the Korea Economy Brief, straight from the front page of Seoul Economic Daily. Thanks for tuning in.